So today we're just gonna check out a few knives that I kind of want to talk about. Starting it off with the Koobytius. Now, this originally was a budget knife, and when it came out, I gave it so much hype because it was so good. Still so good. Let me be clear, still. The budget version was super affordable, and it had a Koenig Arius look to it. So while it wasn't stealing anything and there was nothing like that, it gave people that like the design aesthetics of the Koenig Arius a place to get somewhat of a budget version. Now we have it in a titanium frame lock version. However, they kept the steel 14C28N, which helps bring down the price. This is only $100. 100 bones for this beautiful titanium frame lock that's extremely well done. So we have micro milling on the handles, very ergonomic by the way, and it is on both sides. Titanium deep carry clip that's in the set with flat screws, and it does have a lot of milling on the inside. The clip is not reversible. Good access to the lock bar, fantastic access, and this thing is super duper smooth. Now, aside from the aesthetics and the comfort and the cutting performance and all that I loved about this knife, the action is also really good. They put one of the most comfortable flipper tabs you could put on a knife on this model. It is a flipper tab that even if the detent was extremely strong, it would be very easy to flick because it's so comfortable. It's placed nice and high above the pivot, great traction. So very snappy flipping action. But then you also have the hole deployment. So multiple deployments are always better than one deployment. So yeah, very fidgety, and the detent's very well tuned for both deployments. So all in all, to me, this is a steal. This is an absolute steal. I thought the same thing about the budget version when it came out, that was just a fantastic price to get that knife for. Another thing, I should have said this right away, titanium hardware. Titanium hardware all the way around that are T8s, except for the clip. The clip has T6s, but everything else is T8s. That's awesome. A lot of knives that come with titanium hardware, the price winds up being through the roof. So, that's awesome. Anyways, like I said, man, really good purchase right here. And there's tons of color options. So if you don't like this one, there's plenty of other options. Now the next knife is another one that recently just dropped. Now it doesn't have the milling on it. This is a special edition one, but you can get this right now on Blade HQ. I will have it linked down in the description for you guys. It is, to me, it's a really good one. It is a Chavez, obviously Chavez. I pretty much say like all Chavezes are really good. I don't know if they've really had any bad ones. As far as the clip goes, some people don't like the clip, but they give you an extra clip, so if you don't like this clip, then you got an extra one. But this one's more compact. It's not a huge knife like some of the other ones are a little bit bulky, a little bit big. This one's more EDC friendly. 7.25 inches with a 3.25 inch blade. 3-inch cutting edge. So, but that's a full-size knife still, but compact enough. And, it does go from a little bit slimmer to a little bit thicker, which I always like. And so, it's got really good ergonomics. The action is, like all Chavez, is really good. The detent, perfectly well tuned. I believe Riet is the one making these. I believe they make all Chavez knives. I'm not 1,000% on that. I'm like 90%, but I could be wrong. But anyways, the lockup, listen, really solid lockup. I love seeing lockup that engages like that, even with very smooth lockup. The lock face geometry is really good. Sharpening tool and plunge grind, that would be the one thing that I would maybe nitpick about. I wish that they would back up the end of the plunge grind so that it was farther away from the edge, so that when you sharpen it, you can lower back the edge angle without fear of hitting a plunge grind. Granted, you'll get a couple sharpenings out of it, so it's not horrible, but it's just, when you start getting up to this price, you can be a little bit pickier. And I say those things even on budget knives, so I gotta say it on this one. But all in all, man, yeah, like I said, these are available right now. I did not realize that they were gonna drop as fast as they did when I made my video the other day about it. But, if you guys wanna get one of these, they are available. M390 steel. Riet does a really good job with their M390, so I'm happy with that. Like I said, this one you can't get, but you absolutely can get just the plain titanium one, which to be in all honesty is probably going to be the most popular one anyways. Next Next is one I haven't shown in a little while. This one's the Bodega, the BEGG Knives Bodega. Now, this one obviously is a much more affordable version than the custom or the premium one. But man, oh man, they did such a good job on this knife. You know, some people would complain about the price, $120, right? And when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not a bad price. But the steel's D2. So that's where people get a little upset at the price. However, everything else is so well done. You know, from the comfort of the flipper tab, the detent, this thing has such a good detent. I love the detent on this thing. It rockets out. Then you have the fuller that you can reverse flick off of. Really good ergonomics. Perfect access to the lock bar. This is exactly how I love to see lock bars. Man, oh man. There's just so many details on this one that I personally love. Now, some people, it's gonna be either your style or not. Some people will look at it and be like, oh, it looks like a gas station knife. And then there's gonna be people that look at it and be like, that's my style. It does have the BEGG Knives ceramic ball clip. And you know, you gotta understand that this, you know, okay, so gas station knives, right? Gas station knives. What do you think they're trying to look like? They're trying to look like the real deal, the real thing. So this is a budget version of the real thing that is a very expensive custom knife. So this is just a premium version of it. And to me, I personally like the flare. You know, the holes with the fuller, I think that looks cool. Harpooned, hollow ground blade. You know, even down to the jimping right here and the jimping back here. I think it just looks cool, man. I'm loving it. And once you get it in hand and you realize like the action and everything, it's outstanding. So next one. Next one is made in Taiwan, and that is by Kbar. This is the Kbar LTD something. Damn it, I can't. I'll put the name up on the screen. But it's the folding version of a self-defense fixed blade that Kbar does. A very popular fixed blade from them. I'm personally not the biggest fan of it. It's okay, you know, but I do like this folding knife. The way this handle goes, it's almost like a pistol, so it's very comfortable and it's ready to punch. When you get it in hand, you can feel like you have tons of leverage to punch it through something. And that's what it's designed for. It's designed, you know, to get it out and, you know, punch to get something off of you. Now you can also slash and swipe. This spear point blade is very well done. Nice thin geometry up at the spine. If you look, see how it like almost has a false edge at the top, which is going to make this thing even more arrow-like, you know, for penetration. And then because it's like kind of angled, you know, if you're going to use it for an EDC knife, this thing works great. Fantastic utility cuts. It traps materials for slicing. Turning it around and cutting straps, it's not going to be the most ideal, but you absolutely can do it. Even though it might be a little bit awkward, you can absolutely do it. It has a nice, strong locking system. Now, as far as the reverse flick, that's where the action's at, is this reverse flick. I freaking love the whole placement, the whole size, the whole, that was my fault, the whole everything. It allows you to have so much leverage into that whole deployment. Now, the flipper tab, yes, it works. It's a little bit on the lighter side for a detent, just because, you know, it's a crossbar lock. But they were able to do it, you know, which I got to give them credit. But personally, I wouldn't even mind having the flipper tab removed and just having the reverse flick. Even though the flipper tab's still good, you know, you can see I'm using it just fine. But, you know, just, I don't know. I think that whole deployment, that's the main deployment, is that whole. I guarantee you hand this to somebody, even somebody who's not good at reverse flicking, they'd grab it and reverse flick it. It is that good. And then a crossbar lock, we already know, nice strong locking system. So, you know, for those situations where you're gonna have to get nasty and dirty, this is a lock that'll hold up through something like that. And the FRN handles are very lightweight, so this is, you know, very affordable. It's an affordable knife that's made in Taiwan. The clip works great, and it is reversible, and it's gonna be comfortable in the hand. The one downside to this one is the blade steel. The blade steel is only AUS 8. So yeah, I wish it was a little bit more of a premium steel, but considering what this thing is for, you know, light duty EDC / self-defense, and I say only light duty EDC, not because it's weak in any way, shape, or form, but just because if you're gonna have it as a self-defense knife, you're not trying to hard use your self-defense knife, right? You wanna make sure it's nice and sharp when you need it, and this will do that fine, just fine, you know. If you have, you know, no problem sharpening your knife, you could use it as a regular EDC tool, and if something happened and you needed to deploy it and use it for, you know, a specific purpose, it will definitely do the job well. So, you know, and with that, in that argument or with that case, I'm not so much worried about how premium the steel is. I just want to make sure it's a decent steel that can be sharpened and it will hold an okay edge, which this one will absolutely do. Granted, I always want, you know, I always like my super steels, you know, and things like that, but not everything has to be that. Now the last one we're going to talk about is the BEGLEITER XL, the KIZER BEGLEITER XL. Now this one, well, first of all, the whole model, I don't even know what to call it. The models of the BEGLEITER they're very popular. They have the mini, they have the button lock, they got the regular one, they got the XL one, they got so many. I think they even have a frame lock one. They got every style of BEGLEITER. Now the XL one that's on a button lock, this thing not only has really good acoustics, and it's very fidgety, but rock solid lockup. Very, I'm not gonna say tactical-ish, how do I say it? It's a large knife that just feels extremely capable. I feel like I could use this for EDC, I feel like I could use it for hunting, I feel like I could use it for self-defense. Gas station knife fighting grip is gonna be great. The balance of it, just everything about it to me personally, this is a great knife. Fantastic user. Yes, it's a large knife, so that's one thing you got to understand. It is a large knife. Not obnoxiously large, not like it's going to be, you know, too crazy, but it does have, I think it's a 3.75 inch blade or something, almost 4 inches, something like that. Don't quote me, just look at the link down in the description. It's a long blade, but that long blade gives you a lot more cutting edge and, you know, obviously poking, you know, depth. But I love the blade shape. This is a great blade shape. You can use it for utility cuts. You can, you know, it's big enough to where you can use it for the fine details and the big stuff. So the button lock action is obviously stupid good. KIZER does a really good job with their action. The flipping detent on the button lock, super duper good. Same thing with the thumb studs. I have tried a couple that I had a couple issues with, but the only problem was the pivot came loose or one of the hardware came loose. So just make sure that those are, you know, if you have an issue, if you ever get, and this goes for any button lock, by the way, I'm not just talking about the BEGLEITER, but if you ever get any button lock and it starts like having like super bad lock stick or the detent, it's like the blade won't come out, adjust the hardware. That's the problem. The problem is one is loose and one is tight, and the scales are not flat. They're like this. So it's creating tension somewhere, preventing you from deploying the knife, or creating some other type of issue. So just adjust it. Maybe take it apart, take the scale off, just put it right back down. Not even take it all the way out, just loosen all the hardware and then retighten them. That usually works. But all in all, super good knife. I freaking love the BEGLEITER. I love all the BEGLEITERs, even the mini one, you know, and I'm not a huge small knife guy fan, but the liner lock version of this knife is so unbelievably smooth. And when it first came out, it was unexpectedly smooth because granted, there were knives out, you know, in places that did have really smooth action on a light blade, but that knife, man, it just, the detent was so crispy, and I'm talking about the liner lock version, was such a crispy detent with the most smoothest falling action, you know, for such a crispy detent, which was almost unheard of at the time when it came out. You know, it'd be one thing, either one, you had a light detent and the thing would be very smooth, or two, you'd have a strong detent and it wasn't very smooth, you know, because of the tension of the lock bar. They were able to tune that thing masterfully. Is that a word? Anyways, work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.